Hi, this is Amy Romeo from the jewelry making and craft blog, amyromeo.com, and today in this video you'll be watching a recorded live from my Facebook group where I showed members of my group how to make these fall leaf earrings that are new in my shop, and I walked them through step by step. We talked about the whole process, we crafted together. It was really fun. If you like this kind of live crafting, I hope you'll hop over to Facebook at the end of this video and search for my group, Get Crafty with Amy Romeo, and request to join. I'd love to see you there. And let's go ahead and get started on this project. I'll be using my Cricut Maker for this project, but you could also use the Explorer Air 2, or you could use the Cricut Joy. These earrings have two layers. The bottom layer is faux leather and the top layer is heat transfer vinyl. I'm using foil iron-on just because it's sparkly and fall-like, but you can use any heat transfer vinyl you want to use. You could use glitter, you could use solid, whatever you prefer. I'll be cutting the faux leather and the heat transfer vinyl using my purple strong grip cutting mat and my green standard grip cutting mat. If you're using the Cricut Joy, then just use the little green mat that comes with the Joy. And the faux leather, I've linked to a bunch of different brown faux leathers. Let me put back my little thing here on this page for you. I've linked to a bunch of different brown faux leathers because honestly I wasn't sure what I was going to use. If you were with me last week when we did the paw print earrings with the cork, this cork package is beautiful. It has all these really pretty fall colors. I mean, really everything could be a leaf except for the blue one. So I think I'm going to do the maple leaf design. I think I'm going to do this one out of this red cork today, but any of these corks would be perfect. So this is a really cool sampler pack that I bought on Amazon. I think it's going to be great for fall leaves. So I'm going to bust into this at some point, but I wanted to show you that. I have this linked on the page of all the materials just in case you wanted to check it out. Also, I'll be using this smooth faux leather. If you followed my projects for a while, you know that I really like smooth faux leather, especially when pressing heat transfer vinyl on top. So this is that same brand that I use all the time, that I use the black all the time and the white all the time. I have this linked on that page for you. So really, you can see, you can use any kind of faux leather for the bottom that you'd like. Smooth is best, but I think you can get away with pebbled or textured for this project because it is a natural leaf. And then I'll be using foil iron-on, and I have this in so many colors. I just picked a sampling of fall colors and we'll see what we end up with. I'll use some blue painter's tape to tape down my material to the mat. I will be using my Easy Press Mini to press the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather. You can also use a regular Easy Press. You could even use a home iron if that's what you have. I'll be using my heat pressing pad and a little cut up Teflon sheet. You could use a piece of parchment paper or butcher paper. Just don't use wax paper. Then I'll use a weeding tool. I have the Cricut weeding tool, but I really like my little pin pen from 143 vinyl. You know, the folks that used to be 651 vinyl. I use this all the time. And in this particular design, I didn't put holes in the SVG because when there's two layers and then the hole is in the two layers, it can get a little wonky. So I'm just going to punch the holes myself with my 1/16 inch hole punch. You guys have seen me use that a bunch. I have some craft scissors, and I also have my 2 pair of flat nose pliers that I will use to attach my earring hooks. And I have the usual gold and silver earring hooks. Today I think I'm also going to play with some of these antique bronze because I think they're, you know, festive and fall. And I have my favorite little wheel of 6mm jump rings, and I have this also linked on my materials page for you, amyromeo.com/getcrafty. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started. And here in Cricut Design Space, I'm going to upload my image. Actually, I don't need to upload my image because I already have it here. If you downloaded it and you need to upload it, do that now. So click on Upload Image and browse to where you downloaded the SVG and go ahead and upload it. I have my little leaves right here. So I will go ahead and pick them. It's a little hard for me to get in here and see my thing. There we go. And now my leaf shapes are on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is put some foil on the back of the faux leather, and you've seen me do this a bunch. It just adds some interest and it makes the back of the material look more finished. It adds some structure. So what I need to do is turn on my Easy Press Mini on the lowest setting, and looking on the screen on Cricut Design Space, I can see sort of how large these earrings are. So these little tiny leaves, these are, you know, about 1 inch wide, 1 inch tall by 3 inches wide. So I'm going to cut a little piece of cork just slightly larger than that so that I put the foil on the back, and that'll be the material that I cut with. So I cut my little piece of cork, and I think I'm going to put this, I think this is a rose gold foil on the back. I have so many colors of foil. This is one of my favorite things to put on the back, but you could put anything you want. You could put solid heat transfer vinyl. You could put glitter, anything you wanted. So I've got my cork faux leather here, and I've got my little piece of foil that is the same size. And I'm just going to press the foil to the back of the faux leather. So I'll put it right here on my little pressing pad, cover it with my Teflon sheet. Easy Press Mini on the lowest setting. So I like to use my Easy Press Mini like a mini iron, and I just sort of iron away. I don't want to leave it in one place for too long because it could bubble and really damage the texture of the faux leather. So you do want to hit all the spots, but you don't want to leave it in any one spot for too long. And the trick with this is always keeping the faux leather flat and peeling away the transfer sheet, and that will keep your foil from getting too wrinkled. So there we go. So this will be our maple leaf. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Again, I'll cut a little piece of faux leather. This one I think I'm going to do with this brown. I think I'm going to do silver as the accent, and we'll see how that looks. Whenever you're doing small, detailed, little designs like this, you really want to have as much contrast as possible between the color of the faux leather and the foil, or whatever your heat transfer vinyl is. So even though it's really pretty when the colors are very close together, it's almost too subtle, so you want to make sure you have some contrast and you get that pop. So I cut my little piece of brown faux leather. You could see how low I'm getting on my little scraps. So once I get both of these ready to go with the foil on the back, I'm going to show you how I cut both of these leaves at once on the same mat, even though I'm cutting them from different materials. It's a little time-saving / lazy hack. So here we go. Here's the foil on this side. Again, I'll just cover it up. So here we go. Another little trick I like to do is just kind of go over it one more time. There we go. So now I've got both of these backed with the foil. You want to get the foil on really well, because when it cuts, you don't want it to rip up the foil area. So let me head back over to Cricut Design Space and show you how I'm going to get all of this stuff to cut on the same mat. So the way we're going to do that is using Color Synch right up here. And what we're going to do is put the layers that we want to cut on the same mat, we're going to put them so that they're the same color. So let me click on here, and This is showing us our little vein cutouts, which we know we're cutting from foil. So I'm just going to grab one of these and grab them, drag it up here. So that's basically saying that everything that is a vein shape, which I know I want to cut out of heat transfer vinyl, will cut on the same mat. And I'll do the same thing for the bottom leaves. Now that doesn't mean that we have to cut them from the same color material. It just means that they'll be on the same mat to make it easier for us to cut. So I'll go ahead and click Make It. And now we've got all our little leaves, the bottom faux leather leaves on the same mat, and we've got all the heat transfer vinyl on the same mat. So I like to just drag them apart just a tiny bit, drag them away from the border a little bit. And let's see. So I've got, these guys are gonna go over here. So I like to use the grid lines. The grid lines on the mat to match them up to the grid lines in the mat preview, which is pretty easy to do. So the first one, which is the brown, I'm going to, let me go back to the overhead here so you can see. I'm gonna put it, let me turn my mat around. I'm gonna put my faux leather face down, pretty side down, with the shiny side up. You might need to repeat the cut a few times, but I find that I have to repeat the cut on the bigger machines as well. Okay, so basically I've got my faux leathers now with the foil on the back in the same location as I see them on the mat preview screen. And I will use my favorite blue painter's tape and just tape these down. And remember, I don't like to be wasteful with my blue painter's tape, so I will absolutely peel this off the mat later and save it. All right, there we go. So we've got that ready to go. And then I will click back over here to Design Space to show you. And I'll click Continue. And I like to use the setting Faux Leather Paper Thin. And if you don't have that setting, click up here on Browse All Materials and search for it. This is my favorite. This is what I use all the time for cutting faux leather. And I like to use more pressure. So Faux Leather Paper Thin is an automatic double cut setting. So it will automatically cut twice, and then we'll probably repeat the cut again just to be sure. So now that I've got my material selection made, let me flip back over here. And we'll go ahead and load this in the machine. You always want to make sure when you're cutting faux leather that the little white star wheels are out of the way. You don't want those rolling over your material. So I'll load that into the mat and go ahead and press the C button. So while I'm cutting this, let me flip back over to Design Space. I'm going to go ahead and set up my mat for the heat transfer vinyl. And I'm just looking to see, again, where my stuff is going to cut. So I will drag it over here a little. And this will be cutting from the foil iron-on a green mat. So before I do that, let me show you what I've got going on here. So I did not put this very carefully down on the mat, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. I really should have done a better job of measuring where I was putting my material, but that's okay. It's already cut 2 times with the faux leather paper thin setting, but I want to repeat the cut 1 more time. So I'm going to press the C button again. And then back over here in Design Space, I will put my foil down. Drag that a little closer over here. So basically it's a 3-inch square of foil, and that I want the silver for. All right, so I've got my silver foil, shiny side down, and that'll be for the brown leaves. And then I'm going to do the rose gold. Let's see, this needs to go between basically the 6 and the 9. Again, shiny side down between the 6 and the 9. There we go. If your foil is lifting up or your heat transfer vinyl is lifting up, then just put a little blue painter's tape in the corners. So I will go ahead and unload the mat. And it's not too terrible, but I definitely was off there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little weeding tool behind to make sure that the cut came out nicely, and it did. So I'll remove those. We'll pretend that I did a perfect job on those. Ooh, that's pretty with the cork. This is a pretty new purple mat, so it's very sticky. Okay, so I will put my little leaves aside, and then we'll go ahead and cut the foil iron-on. So for the foil iron-on, I always use the washi sheet setting for any intricate cuts, and usually earrings are intricate cuts. So I select washi sheet, and then I will use the default setting so that I can repeat the cut another time. If I use more pressure and then I want to repeat the cut, then it'll cut through the backing. So we don't want that. So I will go ahead and load in the mat. So I'm using washi sheet, default setting, and we'll make that cut. So you can see that I clipped the edge there a tiny bit, and I will take off this blue tape. So this is almost finished. I will go ahead and weed this out. I probably didn't need to cut this twice, but when I'm making intricate cuts, I don't want it to get stuck or have there be any little areas that catch. It's just, you know, it's not worth it to me to have to redo the whole thing. So let me flip to my overhead here so you can see. There we go. There's one of the cuts. There's the other one. For things like this that can be a little bit fiddly, I like to just weed on the mat. And while I'm doing that, I will go ahead and turn my little mini back on. So if you have an iron and you want to be doing this with your home iron, you absolutely can. You just want to make sure that the temperature is very low and you're not using, you know, any steam setting. There's no steam, there's no moisture coming off of your iron. And you still want to make sure you're using a Teflon sheet or a piece of parchment paper or butcher paper. So here's that one weeded, and here's this one. And again, I'll just be using my little heat pressing pad. I like to cut these apart with scissors. There we go. And match up our little patterns. Let me see, I wonder if I can zoom you in a little bit so you could see a little better. There we go. So just a reminder, this SVG is in my shop, and I've got a discount code that's good until tomorrow for everyone that's on the live or watching the replay. So if you're watching this after the fact, you can still go grab this file, but you won't have the coupon code. Now, if you want to know in advance when I do sales like this, when I do special promotions for people in my group, then you need to get in my group. And go on Facebook and search for Get Crafty with Amy Romeo. And then you will also be in the know. So I've got my foil lined up onto the bottom cork, and I'm just going to press these quickly. me show you. There we go. So I'll go ahead and peel off the cover sheet. With foil, a lot of times I like to just hit it one more time, just like I did on the backs. It's a very thin vinyl, and I just like it to stick down really well all over. There we go. Those came out pretty cute. So we'll do the silver ones. So this is not going to line up exactly because of my little faux pas there. I did want to show you on the side of these, you can see the white, which I don't like, and I don't have my Sharpie out. But what I will do is I will just color the edges with a brown Sharpie or a coordinating color Sharpie, and that'll get rid of that white edge. So we'll just line these up also. Let's see. Here we go. And press. And the last thing we need to do is just attach the earring hooks. And I'll peel that away. If you start peeling and the foil, you can tell the foil isn't stuck, just put it right back down and press it a little longer. This is hot, so just use caution and be careful when you're touching it. I will turn off my easy press and we'll go ahead and punch the holes. So let's see. I want these to hang like this. So when you're punching your hole, you want to make sure that the hole is far enough away from the top that it isn't going to tear. Let me see if I can show you that. And this is a little hole punch that I use a ton of. It's technically a paper punch, but I love it for faux leather. So this one is Fisker's brand, and I also use this one. It's another 1/16 inch paper punch on Amazon. I have these linked on my materials page if you want to check that out. They both work the same. And they can cut through 2 layers of faux leather if you want them to. So what I like to do for the second hole is put this one face down. And then I use the first hole to line up to make the second hole. And that's how you get really nicely matched hole placement. So again, there's a lot of contrast between the silver and the brown there, which is nice when you're using foil and little small designs like this. We'll punch the holes quickly in the maple leaf. And here I'm going to show you how I just punched 2 of them at the same time. And that's that. Sometimes when I'm cutting faux leather, I get little tiny fuzzies on the edge. I just use my little 4-inch curved scissors to trim up the edges. So let's try out these sort of antique bronze hooks. So technically, this is rose gold, and I could use a rose gold hook, but I'm just going to go with what I've got now. What's great about this little assortment is it has all the different colors. These are 6mm size jump rings, and this is just a really good size for earrings. If you don't have 6mm, 5mm also works well. And then you know how I do this. Let me get this to focus. I need to turn the bottom loop of the earring hook so the earrings will hang straight. Let me see if I can get you to see that. There we go. So I've turned that one. Now it's hanging the right way. And I'll just do that again. And I like to use 2 pair of pliers to open my jump rings. You've seen me do this a bunch. I put the opening up at the 12 o'clock position and then one plier at each side. So at the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock, and just twist and hook it on the little leaf and then hook on the earring hook, and make sure that your earring hook is going in the right direction. Let's go ahead and do the second one. So like I said, these are really fun leaves because there are so many browns, so many brown faux leathers, especially, I don't know about you, but whenever I buy an assortment pack and I'm getting some pretty colors, they always throw in some, you know, oranges and rusts, and I think, what the heck am I going to do with those? But this is the perfect thing to do with those. And this leaf really could be cut smaller if you wanted to. That would be a great candidate to be a smaller earring. This one I probably would make smaller, the maple leaf, just because the weeding will start to get a little more. Oh, I twisted that too hard. Let me grab another one. The little maple leaf will get too, the veins will get too finicky. So if you're not in my group already, then if you're watching this on YouTube or on Instagram, I asked my group earlier in the week what project they wanted me to make and demonstrate this week in my live, and they chose fall leaf earrings. And I already had this pattern, but I wanted to create something brand new for my group members. So that's what I did. I love sharing, I love creating, I like making people happy. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on Instagram, I hope you'll hop over to Facebook and search for my group, Get Crafty with Amy Romeo, and get in the group. And there we go. Let me see if I can put all these up here. There we go. I think they came out really nice. What do you think? So I hope you enjoyed this project. I know I did. And remember, I have all of the links to all the materials that I used, the SVG in my shop with a coupon code for a limited time, and all of the information that you'll need, including the other fall leaf design, my fall necklace design. All of that is at amyromeo.com/getcrafty. And thank you, Mia. Thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to say that I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I can't wait to see what you create next. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.